You are live.
So we'll get going in just a second. It doesn't say live on our end yet, Jason.
No, it won't.
Good to go.
Go ahead.
It won't.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, just like we promised, this is a big day for us. So excuse us if we fanboy way to the left because we can't help ourselves. We are excited. The group that you see before us, our guests today are the Breath of Life Quartet.
No, it won't. Go ahead.
We have. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so somebody's going to have to turn their YouTube down a little bit, and we're going to continue. We have Clyde Allen, we have James Kyle, we have Shelton Kilby, and Walter Ortiz. Oh my goodness, the Breath of Life Quartet. Let's just pause and just do a round of applause, everyone.
Nice to be here.
Man, and so I'm going to just jump right in and say that I can speak pretty much for every member of the group. The Breath of Life Quartet was a Friday night staple in all of our homes throughout the weekend. And then as we tried to shape our, cut our own teeth with singing a cappella, that was the standard that we had to reach. And my, oh my, these guys, you have no idea what you did for us. So we want to first start off by saying thank you. Thank you for your commitment to excellence, for showing young men and young women what it's like to be professional a cappella musicians. So thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So first question, how did you guys get together? I don't think we've ever heard that story. Anyone want to take that?
Walt, you want to start that one?
I had a feeling that would happen. There were different variations of the group, David. It started on a Sabbath afternoon, waiting on AY to begin. And you just sit around and harmonize. And eventually somebody said, you guys should sing for church. And we did. And from there, it really went on. But when I look at it, and Shelton will remember this started for us back in 1958.
Yep. Downstairs
In Peterson Hall. In 1958, Peterson Hall was a boys' dorm. Of course, if it wasn't, we might have been there anyway. But anyhow, it was a men's dorm back in '58, and we used to sit around listening to music and harmonizing, and you could really say it started then. Wouldn't you think, Sheldon?
I think so. I think we were listening a lot to the Hi-Los and the Four Freshmen. This was alumni weekend. Walt would come down and bring Columbia Records
catalog.
Wait,
yeah, catalog.
You were allowed to listen to the Hi-Los?
Oh yes, yes,
in
sir.
Peterson Hall?
In Peterson Hall?
Yes, sir. Well, alumni weekend, you can kind of.
That's right.
Stuff.
It had to start somewhere.
Bringing out the facts here. Just bringing out the facts.
So we would listen to those guys, and that was the beginning.
Yeah. And then Clyde and I started singing with Walt in the Ortiz Chorale that he had in LA. I actually started singing with the Ortiz Chorale when I was 16 years of age. And it was later, 1973, 74, we started talking about the telecast, the ministry. And that's when we knew we were going to need a quartet to go out and do evangelism. And so, the quartet, many different variations of it started in 74.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now here's another question. What technique did you guys use to record? Were you singing around one microphone? Was it a 2-track? Was it, how many tracks could you record at one time?
One.
It felt like a railroad track.
So everyone had to nail it. So how much rehearsal did it take before you felt comfortable going into the studio to record?
Well, actually, I don't remember us having to practice a lot. We were so into what we were doing. I just want to mention also that back in 1960, when I first met Walter in LA here, I used to go down to his job downtown LA, and we would leave and go to places like Tower Records to try to find the Four Freshmen albums and the high-lows. And then as the years passed, went by, Singing Unlimited came around. So wow, man, it was just blowing our minds completely. So basically, as far as rehearsing, we never rehearsed like constantly kind of thing. It was just, we were so into it, everything just kind of came freely to us, you know?
Man, that's amazing unto itself.
The camp meeting tours is where we actually were able to refine our music, because we learned those songs and we sang them on camp meeting tours. So we sang them over and over and over again. So by the time we got into the studio, we pretty much knew the music. Although, I'm not convinced that we ever felt comfortable in a studio.
That's right.
We always felt like, we were spending the church's money. We had to make sure that we got it right. And so there was a little, I think, pressure to make sure we did well in the studio. I wish we could spend more time in studios. I think, the more studio time you spend, the better you are at it. But we did the best we could with the time we had and the budgets that we had to work with.
So who
before we get to another question,
was the general, the taskmaster to make sure that you got it right?
Walter.
Yeah.
Walter.
And Walter had a memory. We used to call him Wallensack. It was an old recording instrument. And because he never missed his part, he always remembered it, including ours.
Yeah.
Everybody's part.
And then, of course, most of your agents said we had a hard time singing. That's Shelton's fault.
So Walter was the taskmaster, and Shelton was the arranger. That's interesting unto itself. But before we get to any more questions, I'm going to take the time now and just play "If We Ever" by the Breath of Life Quartet. So
wait a minute though. Why do you want to play this song though, Dave? Why is this one important?
Claude, I'll let you say it, because according to Claude, this was the first song that actually the Gentlemen's Estate Quartet, before Alliance, before Take Six, this was the standard. And I will say, this was the standard to just about every Adventist a cappella group, period. You had to know this, and we can all get together and sing it at will. Because this is our standard. So Jason, if you will.
If we ever needed the Lord before, we sure do need him now. Oh, we sure do need him now. Oh Lord, we sure do need him now. Oh glory, if we ever needed the Lord before, we sure do need him now. We need him every day and every hour. I need him in the morning, 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 need him in the night, 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 need him in the noonday, I need him in the noonday, I need him in the noonday, I need him in the noonday when the sun is shining bright. Glory, if we ever needed the Lord before, we sure do need him now. Oh, we sure do need him now. Oh Lord, we sure do need him now. Oh glory, if we ever needed the Lord before, we sure do need him now. We need him every day and every we are. I need him when we're happy. 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 Need him when we're sad. 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 Need him when we're burdened. I need him when we're burdened. I need him when we're burdened. I need him when we're burdened to make your hearts feel glad. Oh, me if we ever needed the Lord before. You know we sure do need him now. Oh, we sure do need him now. Oh Lord, we sure do need him now. Oh, if we ever needed the Lord before. We sure do need him now. We need him every day and every hour. We need him every day. Need him every hour. Need him every day. And every
Amen. Amen.
Wow.
That's back, man. That's way back.
What do you guys feel like as you hear that? What are you feeling right now?
Oh.
Wow.
You know,
I'm wondering who had their tonsils taken out first.
Yeah,
You know, guys, actually, I'm really a true baritone, but I wound up singing throughout probably our entire time with the quartet tenor, and then Shelton took my part, you know. But I really always wanted. I don't know if you guys heard of Bill Barron.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was a tenor. A couple of times we sang. He was tenor, and I was singing baritone at the time, and that's what I really always wanted to do. And Shelton was, of course, playing for us. So that's the history about that.
I feel you on the baritone. Even as an arranger, I absolutely love the baritone part. The baritone makes the magic.
Yes, it does. It does.
Makes the magic.
Yep.
And James, I know when he allowed you to go up and grab that baritone, seventh up there. You were like, oh my goodness, I get to get one.
But what can I do? I had to.
Well, sometimes when Shelton was arranging, I'm singing baritone and tenor, and everybody else is above me, so some of those songs got so high, we would start to try to whistle. We couldn't just whistle in those things.
Well, of course, Shelton, ingenious arranging, of course. We definitely
how do we
learning your material. But I haven't gotten into Walter yet. I'm going for you though. Because
I was going to say the first thing that everybody gravitated to was, of course, Walter's part, usually singing the melody, and then James singing the bass. So everybody kind of was trying to, even when you were a little kid, trying to sing like this, trying to sing bass, because you're trying to emulate the original James Kyle. So, then as you got older and got into different and trying to make your own arrangements, you realize how important some of those inner parts were. Yeah. So, Shelton, now Mark just said he focuses in on the baritone because he loves it so much. Is it the same thing for you when you were doing these arrangements? Or was it the same?
Not really. Just a little context. When I came to town, Bill Barron was singing, but Bill got sick and died. And so Walter said to me, we were on the road, and he said, you you had to step right in. And so overnight, I just stepped in. I didn't want to sing. I just wanted to play. But the elder spoke, so we just started singing that, and there we were.
And that was my demise.
And so the singing high, because they had a better tone when Bill was singing. But with me being baritone, Clyde a baritone, and Walter baritone tenor, so the whole thing dropped.
Yeah, we just got kind of stuck.
So wait,
with
you took that into account as far as your arranges were concerned. You were like, well, the ranges of the guys are different, so let me arrange differently, or no?
I not consciously, because it was the sound. I was trying to get back to them when I heard them singing with Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Now the other thing I should tell you, Walter, Henry Wright, Leon Cox, and myself used to sing quartets in the summer. So Walter, I knew, Walter was the top. And so I worked from him down. But once I heard Bill, then I'm still thinking highlows and four freshmen. And until somebody said, no, we got to lower this stuff. So when I started singing, that's when it was rough on me.
But that's one of the things
at times
appreciate about you guys, because you're the middle. I mean, you with six guys, you cover everything. So
everything.
Nuances of sound.
Yeah.
To the tenor, it's all filled in,
Yes.
Well, Mark's attitude is if it's on the keyboard, it should be sung.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Mark, you like Shelton. You just like Shelton.
I mean, it was a full sound that you guys were able to create, and I think that it's allowed you to have the longevity that you've had as a group, because you just fill the room, with your music, and we still enjoy you. We still enjoy you.
Yeah.
We still enjoy you.
You guys have a texture that even after, before we stopped singing, the best we could do is move up to the first inversion and let Alvin Chia be implied. So James moved up. I mean,
which takes another level of skill.
So the texture that you all have. I mean, oh my goodness! I mean, it's a palette that can do what it wants to do, and the best we could do was to just imply it. But yeah.
So well, Joey has a question. Go ahead, Joey. You don't have to raise your hand, buddy.
Before you say that,
no,
I heard what was implied. Go, Joey.
I do have to raise my hand because I'm but a mere student, and like you, Shelton, I wanted to be a plumber. I didn't want to join this group. I had a great plumbing job, but the guys kind of pulled me in and it pulled me away from my first love. Here's my question, and I don't know if I'm gonna jump the gun or whatever, but when I listen, I started off listening to that. I mean, that song just takes me back. But I actually didn't leave the earth until I heard for the first time the master plan. I need someone to please share with me, what headspace were you in when the song was arranged, when it was conceived, when it was taught? Please share with me so that I can leave the earth again.
Shelton's cow.
When I came to town, just a little context, when I first came to California, I came to be a film composer. And so we didn't have cell phones then, and Walter and I always got together when I was coming to town. So I got to Universal, and the producer, the lady said, "Oh, Mr. Kilby, we've been waiting for you, but the producer's called away," and that was 40 years ago. I've never seen it. And so I called Walter. Walter said, "Hey man, come go with me to a meeting." we go to a meeting, and Elder Sam Myers and a few other people, they're going to watch this pilot, which was to become Breath of Life, and the rest is history. So when Master's Plan came along, I was into film. I mean, that's what I was seeing. Plus, that whole 70s sound. Quincy was messing my mind out on Route 1. I used to drive up there at night by myself to hear the music in my head.
Wow.
That's how Master Plan. I think that's the root of it.
And then I got Shelton and Walter sent me the music. I was at seminary.
That's right.
And so they said, "What can you do with this music?" So I wrote the lyrics for Master Plan. And the second verse that we actually never recorded. The first verse, we went into the vamp, but it was a collaboration, and that's the song that you may have left the planet, but we had to leave the planet trying to figure out how to sing it.
Yeah, we didn't leave till early that morning on that recording.
Wow. Okay, so
but we loved it.
Okay, we've talked about it. We've got people on here losing their minds. Let's play Master Plan right now so everybody can hear this thing.
It's not Master Plan.
Okay, Jason. Okay, so we love Ghetto Child as well.
I sent you the other one, Jace. You should have the truncated version.
While he's getting that together, is it possible that you remember the lyrics to the second verse that you didn't sing?
Wow.
Got to get him kicked out of the ministry, Joey. He's trying to stay in. He's almost at his pension. He's almost at his pension. Is it possible?
Was it in English?
It was in English. I can't bring it off the top of my head, and it's probably somewhere in Walter's files because I sent both verses. But we decided in the arrangement we did in the studio just to do the first verse and then the vamp after that for the rest of the song. But we all love that song. It was something for us just to record it.
While we wait for Jason to tell us when he's ready to play it, and I know it sounds like you have something to add to what was just said.
Oh no, I'm so enjoying my face is just like.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that whenever I hear you guys take six, whatever you're singing, it reminds me of Master's Child. You guys remind me of that song whenever you sing. And you guys are really amazing. I mean, I'm just all inspired by you guys.
Well, let me tell you a little story. Let me tell you, when we did our first album, Shelton, do you remember coming to the studio to check us out?
Were we in Huntsville?
We were in Nashville. And you came and you sat in the corner of the studio.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was like, I was so nervous and your face never changed. I was like, are we doing it right?
Oh my goodness. The sound, man, knocked me flat.
And I always envision.
While we're still waiting for Jason, I'm just going to ask this question. Now, as Take Six, when we were singing around Oakwood, we got a lot of flack for not just the style of music we were singing, but even some of the chords they felt like were just over the top too much. And way back, this is for us. It's in the 80s.
That's crazy.
You're talking about the 70s. How did that your style of arranging and the chords that you guys were singing, did you guys get any flack from the Adventist community?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got flack from an individual who, well, first of all, we got flack because of the progressions. Walter had a genius idea, which really kind of softened the blow a little bit. Almost Over and Ghetto Child. I mean, what was it, Ghetto Child? No. One of them, they came out back to back. Didn't they, Walter? Tell them what you did.
Almost Over and Ghetto Child. Those two albums were really released at the same time because there was some concern about the sound. And one preacher had already told me, RTs, you need to baptize that music. But if you listen to the Cathedral Quartet, and this is before you guys in Take Six were even born, probably. But you will hear elements of the Cathedral Quartet in the Breath of Life Quartet. And then I was told that there were elements of the Breath of Life Quartet to be found in Take Six. So the music just continued to evolve, if you will. And that was quite intentional because we really admired those guys. I mean, think of it, back in the 50s, making this album, that was unheard of.
Wow.
Yeah, we thought what you really needed to do was do what they were doing. So we tried to do that.
I think if you talk about flack, I mean, even the album cover for Ghetto Child, we got flack on the cover because it was blue jeans.
Oh my.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
I did the photography for that. And we got flack for that. Like, why would you put blue jeans on the cover? Like okay, this is just denim. It's just
it's just denim.
It's supposed to be linen or something.
Ghetto Child. What are you supposed to wear? Suits in the
come on, no. But 1979, the Adventist Church. Come on, that was avant-garde. That was way ahead of its time.
And the thing that I can appreciate about the way that Walter, that approach was to release both projects together, so that you don't leave anybody behind, but at the same time, bringing in another generation and saying there's something that we know that you guys love as well. So we want everybody to have something that they can enjoy without trying to force feed the more conservative audience something that they might not necessarily enjoy because they already enjoyed the style that you had been putting out before. So that's just a preamble to, I think the video is ready, Jason.
It's ready.
So let's go ahead and listen to The Master Plan.
The world was standing all alone when God Himself created man to roam the world to make His very own, to share the love He'd shown, and so He gave to master plan, the sun to rule the day, the moon to rule the night, and man to live his life according to His plan. The eagle takes his wing, and all of nature sees
my gosh. Oh, man.
Wow.
In 2021, that's still deep.
Man, and wait, there's so many elements about that. Shelton, you were saying that you came out to LA, to the West Coast to be a film composer. All those textures are right there in that particular song. So, man.
It's a film score. It's a film score.
It's a film score unto itself.
Yeah.
Well,
between trying to make it
between Don Sebesky and Michelle Legrand, my head was popping, you know. In fact, Walter introduced me to Michelle Legrand, and so all of that just came with Breath of Life.
Can I just weigh in real quick? First of all, people always ask me who I listen to. There was nobody else singing bass. There was nobody to listen to but James Kyle. So when the first time I remember meeting him, it was like my sister and I joke about it all the time. It was like seeing Michael Jackson. I still kind of rub up elbows next to him when I see him, just like this dude right here. And as far as Shelton is concerned, we had at least 5 of the Pianistically records on our shelves, the Breath of Life records, not just the quartet, the broadcast records.
Yes.
All of that stuff. And Shelton, you need your own day, brother. You are our own treasure. And I hope you know how vital you have been to our entire community. You are loved and admired, and it has long been overdue that you get your own Walk of Fame in the whole Adventist community. So thank you.
Let me jump in.
Absolutely.
That song we just played made me not only want to start a group at Oakwood, but I was like, Walter Artis, you are the tenor of all tenors.
Well, that's right.
Man.
Yeah.
We're not even sure. Is it the hairstyle? Is it the mustache? We're the styles. Trust us, we all had to look at one point just to try to get the tone. And I would say, even in the chat, the YouTube chat room, people are saying not only are you guys way ahead, you were way ahead of your time, but your breathing and the breath control, not just from the top down, the entire group. And to hear you say that you didn't have to practice that often is amazing.
Well, it's scary.
Yeah, I think part of it, I believe a lot of it is the chemistry that we had. All those years, we had a lot of really good chemistry. Just we liked each other and we loved singing for each other and with each other. And I think that was the main ingredient.
Also, the lab, Dave, we were crisscrossing the country in the car, in station wagon. And most of those head arrangements were done on the road. And then, when we'd be in the hotel somewhere, then we'd kind of perfect them and get up and sing them on Sabbath morning. But it's all going in on the road.
Yeah, there are a couple of camp meeting Sabbath school groups that we experimented on, and
yeah,
they probably didn't want to invite us back, but we had to get the notes right, And but we had, man, I tell you, there's nothing like touring. I guess you guys know that. It forces you to really think about your music. It forces you to think about how you're going to present, and you get a chance to be creative. When we all locked up in a station wagon going from LA all the way to New York and back, visiting varying camp meetings, you can perfect a lot of music in the car, and in the hotel room. And that's kind of what we did.
Well, I just have to say, Shelton has a really blessed gift in writing. I mean, sometimes at the hotel, he'll say, "Hey, Clyde, why don't you listen to this?" It'd be some recording or something he taped, man. I'm saying, what? And I almost want to run out in the street and get hit by a car, because that's the stuff that Shelton has done. I mean, I don't know if you guys probably have not heard it, but some of the stuff, but on the road, Shelton would sometimes grab me and say, "Clyde, I want you to hear this, what you think about it." And it was just so truly amazing. Shelton, let's give you that hand, man.
Yeah, man.
You're a talent, boy.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Walt used to tell us these stories, and we finally found a truth. Shelton never played a song the same way. So we were in Lake Region camp meeting, and we were singing a song, "Ooh Child," and Shelton did the introduction, and when we realized what was happening, it wasn't even the same key. We all kind of looked at each other and said, either we start whistling or we need to get off the stage. We stepped out the back of the tent, and Shelton just was playing away. He didn't even know we had left. He's so into his music.
We left.
Wow. Wow.
He was by himself. We were outside, you know.
Man, I love that story.
That is amazing. I
We
love
might have to
that.
try that ourselves.
I remember, real quick, I remember seeing you guys somewhere, and we were all backstage, and I think Shelton was on piano and Walter was getting ready to sing, and they had just sprung a request on you. They spied you in the audience, and they sprung this thing on you, and next thing you know, you were kind of in the wings, and and I think Walter said, okay, let's do So Sendai You, and you were working it out, and I remember realizing the level of musicianship that took to be able to have this amazing performance just after being imposed upon. And I'm like, okay, that is a whole nother level of game that we as a church, you always get the MV singing in the AYS kind of, well, the devil's busy, sir, saints, but you guys were bringing it. It was truly amazing.
Yeah. Holy Spirit, man. Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
What I remember about Master Plan, and that is the day we recorded that song, it took practically all day because each member had to learn 3 parts, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was 3.
Yeah,
most likely 4, Walter.
When they played it back for us late that night, we just kind of staggered out of the studio and went home. Nobody said anything. We just went home.
Wow.
I have to ask questions. I'm being quiet here, but I'm full of so much that I want to say and ask. I want to know, Walter, what is the record for the longest note that you've held? 2, the process of recording the master plan. What was recorded first? How did you all actually make that happen? Because I'm sure there has to be a process. Shelton, the arrangement of that is awesome, but the orchestral stuff behind it is also so deeply incredible. You were so deep on every single level. And I gotta say, I've listened to so much stuff of yours here of late, and it just absolutely blows my mind. Going back, Walter, to when you were doing the chorale, that's the stuff I really and truly grew up on. When I was 4 years old, listening to a chorale come, and I ingested that, and that stuff is still in me and still comes out. So, whatever you were doing back then, just know it lives. It still lives, and it's absolutely amazing. So please tell me how long.
Longest note, yeah.
I know you have it in your records. I know you do.
Talking to me?
All that was a question, I take it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm thinking the end of Walk This Land with Me.
You're probably right, but the way it came about, you just out there holding a note and the band is going on and you don't know what else to do, so you just hold a note.
Yeah, he's done that several times, many times.
But the fact is,
they got to keep coming up with something because you won't let it go.
Yeah, right. I never counted measures or anything like that. You just did it. I don't know. I have no idea. And I must say this: sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. A lot of times with Sheldon's music, it wouldn't work because you know what Sheldon was going to do.
But the one thing you knew it wasn't going to be because you ran out of breath.
That's the truth, man.
That's a testimony for healthful living.
Do you have a? So please tell me the process of recording Master Plan. When you guys did the vocals, did you do did you all record all at the same time all the time, or was there, when you did the top voice, was that How did that?
I think it's been a long time. I think what we did was we scored it out, did the track, and then I think where we could do, 4 parts that at least gave us a triad and maybe an extra note or something. We did that, and then we came back and tried to fill the other parts in. What Walter forgot to tell you was the first time we finished all of that and we listened to it in the studio after being in there all day, we just stopped and nobody said anything. And we did go home in his house and we sat there and nobody would say anything. And finally, somebody said, you know what? We can't do this, but we're not going to let this thing whip us. So we went back in. Was it the next day, Walt?
You telling this?
Ain't getting no help from the brother. I think we went back in the next day and we finished it, but we went there a good 12 hours.
Yeah, but I remember.
So Mark, did I answer your question, sir?
Kind of, yeah. At the beginning,
we tried to get the base, at least the 4 parts, and then fill those in. Come back and fill those in.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of what Gene Perling told me, the way that they record. They would just record one pass of certain parts, and then they would come back and fill in the rest. But it was all one pass. Every time they did it, it was one pass. So I see that you probably took the same technique, but
we had visions of that technique, but it stopped at the vision. We had to work hard to do that. When we finally left the studio after Master Plan, it was about 2 a.m. in the morning, and we decided, we can't possibly do a better job than what we've done on this, even though we thought we could do a better job, but we just didn't have the facility. Our voices were just by that time we were shot at 2 a.m. and we were kind of on a schedule. So we said, look, let's just run with it. And hopefully nobody will throw anything at us when they hear it. And, the Lord blessed it.
You still have us. I think David and Goliath took us like a week to do. So he still got us.
Yeah. I think sometimes, man, the angels just sing with you. And make up for your deficiencies. I can't ever remember us saying, okay, that was perfect. I don't think we ever hit what we thought was perfection on anything we did. We always felt we wish we could do better, but we did the best we could at the time. And but we always strove for better. And I hear that in your music, that you guys are striving for that level of excellence, and it shows, and your fans appreciate that. And that's the ministry that we're all in. What I'm concerned about from where we sit today in 2021 is, okay, who's next?
Right.
Who are you guys going to be able to pass the baton to? Because right now the young people are not listening to this kind of music.
They're not
trying to emulate it. They're listening to enjoy it, but nobody's out there trying to emulate it, and that's a little worrisome.
And just also one other just layer of appreciation. I am a local elder now at Breath of Life Church in Inglewood, California. But just think how many Breath of Life churches there are, and just what you guys did worldwide. There are no Take 6 churches. We got Grammys, but there are no Take 6 churches. But one day we'll see in the glory who was influenced. But we see right now what you guys did, and just the purposeful, intentional nature of what happened, what you willed, and C.D. Brooks and all of that is we're just grateful. Thank you, fellas, for being used, and it's still blessing us.
Thank you, Bill.
And so I was going to ask Uncle Walter, and the reason I'm going to just say this story, the reason why I say Uncle Walter is because the RTs are my wife's godparents. So you're connected even closer. So Uncle Walter, at the time when you started the Breath of Life as a ministry, It didn't seem like that was the type of thing that was going on in the church. What was your inspiration, and then who did you look to for mentorship to do something like that?
Everything we talked about here today, I guess, was the inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly, there was a need. We'd had the riots in Los Angeles, and that was going on in so many different places. And I was trying to get the music on the air. And some of the things that we were doing, as great as they were, Brenda Spraggan singing My Hope Is Built, Wintley Phipps singing almost anything. I mean, the musicians couldn't believe these young people, but they wouldn't grab an album and play it unless they felt it was Ghetto Child or something like it. And so that's why we did it. And God used it, and I'm glad for that. If I can just say one little thing, I was in Africa in a soccer stadium with, I'm told, between 30 and 40,000 people. And before the meeting that night, the speaker for the series asked me to do 20 minutes of music, and I agreed to do that. And as I was standing on the platform waiting to begin, I could see these guys coming through the crowd. There's about 5 or 6 of them. And they came up and said, "Can we sing something for you?" And I said, "Sure." They sang Breath of Life arrangements to the note. And I said to myself, I'm not going out there and do this to anyone. I'm taking these brethren with me. I mean, why not? They knew the song. So the 5 of us went out there and sang Breath of Life. And
wow.
I never forgot that.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
And I think the most humbling thing that happened to us through the years, we'd be on camp meeting tour or singing someplace, and some 10, 12-year-old would come up to us and say, my mother used to listen to your music, and we say, like, okay, what does that mean?
We get that. We get that a lot.
We realized that it was an intergenerational experience, and we're grateful for that. We're grateful. We've had a good run. I think we figured out when to end it, and that's one of the things we wanted to we always used to talk about. That is, we didn't want to sing past our ability to sing, and so we cut it off in righteousness, to say the least. And but we don't have any regrets. I mean, we left it all on the field.
No.
And,
so here's what I've really wanted to know. Did you guys know at the time, and have you known since you started, that you were ahead of your time? Because you certainly were. And it's hard to know that, I think, when you're doing it. But did you have any indication?
No. The flag guy certainly suggested that we were ahead of our time because we were getting beat about the head with sticks.
I never really thought of it like that. I mean, there was this music that we all liked. And it didn't appear to me, I always thought that they were late.
Yeah,
that's great.
Because especially with the Ghetto Child album, we had never heard anything like that before. Anything, period.
Yeah.
There were discussions in almost every other Adventist household of whether or not we should be playing this record.
Starting with the album cover, it was like, no.
Yeah. When Take 6 was coming along, when Take 6, when you guys were coming along years back, I often thought, man, what if the Breath of Life and Take 6 did something together just for a minute? Because honestly, I don't know if any of you thought of that, but that crossed my mind.
We would love that, man. We would love that.
I just want to know. Yeah,
Mark is sitting right there.
What I thought of was
right there. What are you talking about?
Shelton sitting right there.
I thought we'd all have to go and start our own church because they would boot us all out.
What's so
at
funny,
least we got the 2 or 3, so we're good.
what's so funny is, listening to Vinny sing, and I was trying to figure out how did he get to all those notes. So I was beating my chest. My chest sore trying to see if I could intone those notes. I gave up.
No.
I said, it's gonna hurt myself.
I genuflect, brother. You are the founding father. I man, such good stuff.
And it's not lost on me that when you said in the background of the music that you were singing, that you were listening to, was the civil unrest, the change that's going on, and the fact that it's full circle once again, and how music was used to speak to people during that time of unrest. And I think it's probably providence, the songs that were written, the messages that were written, that just happened to be speaking to the unrest of the time. It's amazing that you all had done all that. Unless we would have been speaking to you like now, we wouldn't have known that. We wouldn't have put together that was the backdrop. So you're on the edge of your ministry pushing forward. It's changing the actual church and how the church views how they need to speak to people, but also it's affecting society and how society needs to think about what's going on. You all have been forerunners to us and mentors to us in so many different ways. I mean, that's just one way. How society heard you and how you communicated to society. And there was always a need. There was always a cause. And you all, and so what I'm saying is I don't credit you with it. I credit the Most High with it because he placed you at that time to be able to minister to like you did. And we appreciate everything that you had to go through, all the beatings that you had to get because you were pushing the envelope in ministry. If you hadn't done that, we wouldn't have a space to be able to have practiced what we did. And then for us to push it further and help people understand, look, this is what ministry really should look like. Man, we just appreciate you all on so many different levels.
Praise God.
So whose idea was this to do this Zoom podcast? Whose idea was it? Any?
This particular one?
Mark?
Between
that we're on right now.
Or to have you guys as guests?
Just this thing here, that having us as guests.
Well, Claude and I have been speaking, and we have our regular weekly conference calls, and we said, man, wouldn't it be amazing if we could get the entire Breath of Life Quartet? And I just want to quickly give a shout out to also Philip Grayson as well.
Grayson, yeah.
Exactly. So he was also a member that impacted us greatly as well. So we don't want to leave him out.
Right.
But
Exactly.
wouldn't it be just the perfect moment for us to be able to celebrate our mentors, the sound that shaped who Take Six actually is. And so we were so happy when everyone was available to be able to do it. So we thank you.
Thank you. Guys.
We wouldn't miss it. We wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to share with Walter. I know that you heard that you lost your sister last week. So just from us, our condolences and heartfelt love to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, I pastor a little church over in Glendale, and I know they would be loving to hear that Take Six come in one day and just blow the roof off the place. So I'll be calling.
All right.
We got to figure out how to hook this thing up.
Yes,
the
sir.
6 + the 4. So yeah.
Absolutely. So we are out of time. Once again, we thank you guys, the Breath of Life Quartet. Man, you have made our whole podcast experience. This is the pinnacle for us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invitation, Dave. All of you. Thank you.
On the next one, for me, I just like to grill you guys, Mark and Claude and Joel and Alvin, how your thing has grown and all, curious about that.
We got to have a part 2 to do that.
Yes, sir.
We'll have you back, most definitely. So we've been listening to the Spread Love podcast on the Take Six official YouTube page. Like and subscribe, and go check out the Breath of Life Quartet. They've got actually tons of videos and music on YouTube already. And where can they find the ability to buy your music, Walter, and whoever else? Do you know where they can buy it?
I would think now the best thing to do would be to contact the ministry at Oakwood. They probably
Oakwood University. Okay.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Breath of Life office.
Breath of Life office. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. This has
It's been a pleasure, man. Seeing you guys on this. Wow.
Yes.
We love you guys. Pleasure's been wonderful.
You guys are good. Yes. Right. Love you guys.
Grace and peace.
You guys will make me go and study orchestration all over again.
Well, you and Mark get together because we got to do something together, y'all.
Yeah. For real, man.
All right.
Take care, guys.
I promise.
Take care.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
Good.